Level 1. The figure. You see it across a grocery store parking lot after closing, standing beneath a broken light without moving. At first, you think it is just someone waiting for a ride, another tired person under bad fluorescent glow. You load your bags into the car, glance back once, and the figure is still exactly where it was. It is too far away to see a face, but close enough for you to know it is watching. You tell yourself not to be dramatic, because parking lots make everyone look suspicious after midnight. Then the overhead light flickers, and for 1 second the figure seems taller than any person should be. You get into the car quickly, lock the doors, and check the rearview mirror before starting the engine. The figure has not moved, but now its head is tilted slightly, as if it noticed your fear. You drive out of the parking lot slowly, refusing to look back until the store disappears behind you. At the first red light, you check the mirror and see nothing behind your car except empty road. That should make you feel better, but it does not, because the passenger window has fogged from the outside. A single line appears in the fogged glass, drawn by something you cannot see from the street. It is not a word yet, only a vertical mark, like the beginning of a letter waiting to finish. The light turns green, and you drive home with both hands locked around the steering wheel. When you park outside your apartment, the mark has vanished, but the passenger window is still cold. That is when the file opens. Level 2. The distance. The next morning, you convince yourself the parking lot made everything feel worse than it was. Sunlight helps, and ordinary routines make strange things look smaller than they felt in the dark. You go to work, answer emails, drink bad coffee, and almost forget the figure by lunchtime. Then you see it across the street from your office, standing beside a bus stop it never boards. It is the same distance away as before, far enough to doubt yourself, close enough to recognize stillness. You stare too long, and a coworker asks what you are looking at through the conference room window. You say nothing, because explaining a motionless figure across the street sounds worse than pretending you saw nothing. When you look again, the figure is gone, but the bus stop glass is fogged from the outside. That evening, you take a different route home, avoiding the grocery store and every street near it. The figure appears beside a closed gas station, exactly the same distance from your car as before. It does not chase you, wave, or step into the road. It simply waits where your eyes will find it. You turn sharply onto a side street, then another, trying to break whatever pattern is forming. 10 minutes later, you stop at a railroad crossing and see it beside the tracks, still the same distance away. That is when the distance becomes the worst part, because it is not losing you or getting closer. It is measuring you. And no matter where you go, it always knows exactly how far away to stand. Level 3, the second sighting. By the third day, you start checking windows before entering any room. You check store windows, car mirrors, dark television screens, and anything reflective enough to betray a shape behind you. At first, that makes you feel safer, as if preparation can turn fear into control. Then you see the figure reflected in a laundromat window while you are standing in your own kitchen. The glass should reflect the sink, cabinets, and your tired face under the ceiling light. Instead, the reflection shows a street you are not on, and the figure standing across from you there. You turn around so fast your shoulder hits the cabinet, but your kitchen is empty behind you. When you look back at the window, the reflection is normal, except for one fogged handprint on the glass. You stop sleeping with the lights off, but the light does nothing except give the windows clearer reflections at night. The figure does not appear every hour. It appears only when you start believing it might be gone. At a pharmacy, you see it reflected in the freezer door behind rows of bottled water. At the laundromat, it stands outside the glass while every machine spins empty behind you. At a drive-thru, it appears beyond the menu board, waiting where the speaker cannot hear it. Each time, it keeps the same distance, never closer, never farther, as if following a rule. You begin mapping the sightings in your Notes app, hoping the pattern will make it less impossible. The map shows a loose circle around your apartment, with you always standing exactly at the center. Level 4, the photo. You take your first picture because fear needs proof before it becomes believable. The figure is across the street outside a closed library, standing under a tree that has lost all leaves. You lift your phone, zoom in, and take 5 photos before it can disappear again. In the first photo, the street is empty, although you swear the figure was still standing there. In the second, the tree is blurred, but the sidewalk beside it looks clean and ordinary. In the third, the figure appears behind you, reflected in the dark library window. You are facing the library. The figure should have been across the street, not behind your shoulder. Your hand tightens around the phone until the screen dims, but you do not delete the photo. You send it to your sister, asking if she sees anything strange in the reflection. She replies almost immediately, "Who is standing behind you?" You do not answer, because the question feels worse when it comes from someone else. That night, you print the photo at a self-service machine because paper feels harder to deny. The The printed version is different from the phone version. The figure is slightly closer to your reflection. You compare them side by side, and your stomach turns before your mind accepts the change. By morning, the phone photo changes too, matching the printed version exactly. That is when the file stops being about sightings and becomes about evidence that moves. Level 5, the witness. You ask your friend Maya to walk with you after work. You do not tell her everything, only that someone may be following you and you need company. Maya is careful, practical, and angry on your behalf before she understands what she is watching for. She brings pepper spray, a phone battery, and the confidence of someone expecting a human problem. For 20 minutes, nothing happens, and you begin to feel embarrassed beneath the streetlights. Then Maya stops walking before you do, her eyes fixed on the opposite side of the road. You do not need to ask what she sees, because her face has already answered for both of you. The figure stands beside a mailbox, the same distance away, head lowered as if listening. Maya whispers, "There is someone there," and the relief almost hurts because you are not alone anymore. She raises her phone to call police, and the figure slowly turns its head toward her. The call fails before it rings, though her phone shows full service and a charged battery. Maya takes one step backward, and the figure takes one step sideways, keeping the same impossible distance. You both run, not because it moves toward you, but because it does not need to. At your apartment door, Maya says she saw no face, only the feeling that something was pretending to have one. Before leaving, she checks the hallway through the peephole and goes completely quiet. When you look through it, the hallway is empty, but the peephole glass is fogged from the outside. Level 6, the old picture. You visit your mother because old family albums feel safer than empty apartment windows. You do not tell her the full story, only that you are tired and need to look through childhood photos. She brings out 3 boxes from the hall closet, smiling at memories that now feel dangerous to open. Most pictures are ordinary: birthdays, school plays, bad haircuts, vacations you barely remember taking. Then you find a photo from your 7th birthday, taken in the backyard beneath a yellow paper banner. Behind the fence, half hidden by a tree, the same dark figure stands at the exact same distance. You drop the photo, and your mother asks what is wrong before seeing your face. You ask who was behind the fence that day, but she says no one should have been there. You keep searching through the box, faster now, with your hands shaking against the old paper edges. A Christmas photo shows the figure beyond the living room window, standing outside in the snow. A beach photo shows it near the lifeguard tower, dark and still against bright summer light. It is not following you because of the grocery store. It has been near you for years. Your mother grows quiet, then pulls one older album from the bottom of the box. Inside is a photograph of her as a teenager, standing beside a bus stop after school. Across the street behind her, the figure is waiting, the same distance away as always. That is when you understand this file did not begin with you. Level 7, the route. You stop asking where it appears and start asking why it appears there. You mark every sighting on a map: grocery store, office, gas station, library, apartment, your mother's house. At first, the pattern looks random, just scattered points across the places where your life happens. Then Maya notices every location sits near an old accident report, obituary, or missing person article. The grocery store was built where a woman disappeared walking home from work in 1986. The office bus stop replaced an older stop where a teenager was struck by a car in 1999. The closed library stands beside the place where an unidentified body was found before the building opened. Every location where you saw the figure was already connected to someone who never made it home. You search your family photos again and find the same pattern behind your mother's sightings too. Her teenage bus stop was near the place where her uncle vanished decades before she ever knew. The figure was not choosing places at random. It was standing at the edge of unfinished stories. That should make it feel less personal, but it does not, because unfinished things have a way of spreading. Maya says maybe it wants you to find something, but the word wants feels too human. That night, you dream of every place on the map connected by one black line. When you wake, the map app on your phone is already open to a cemetery you have never visited. The route is highlighted in blue, and the destination marker is labeled only with your last name. Level 8, the message. You drive to the cemetery because staying home feels like waiting for it to arrive. The cemetery is small, old, and almost hidden behind a road lined with dead winter trees. Your phone leads you to the back fence, where the ground slopes toward a row of damaged stones. One marker has your last name on it, though no one in your family remembers anyone buried there. The first name is nearly unreadable, but the death date is clear: October 17, 1986. The is the same night the woman disappeared near the grocery store before it was ever built. You kneel beside the stone and see fresh condensation forming across the polished black surface. A line appears in the moisture, drawn slowly by something invisible. Find where she stopped. You step back, but the figure is already standing beyond the cemetery fence. Same distance, same stillness, same head tilted slightly, as if waiting for you to understand. For the first time, it does not feel like it is watching you. It feels like it is pointing. You follow the cemetery road until your phone loses signal near an abandoned drainage path. At the end of the path, half buried under wet leaves, you find an old brass house key. Tied to the key is a strip of plastic, faded but still readable. The address on it belongs to the grocery store parking lot where you first saw the figure. Level 9, the replacement. You return to the grocery store after midnight, carrying the old brass key in your pocket. The parking lot is empty, but every broken light above you flickers in the same slow rhythm. You find an old service door behind the store, painted over and almost hidden behind stacked crates. The brass key turns before you decide whether you are brave enough to use it. Inside is not a storage room, but a narrow hallway that should not fit inside the building. The walls are covered with missing person flyers, old photographs, and names written in fading marker. Some names are crossed out, some are circled. One space near the center is still empty. On a table beneath the flyers, you find a folder already labeled with your full name. Inside are photographs of every place you saw the figure, arranged in the order you visited them. The final photo shows the parking lot from above, with you standing beside the service door. In the photo, the figure is not behind you. It is standing in the empty space waiting to be filled. That is when you realize it was not trying to reach you. It was preparing a place for you. A sound comes from the hallway behind you, slow footsteps stopping at the same distance as always. You turn and see the figure closer than it has ever been, holding one hand toward the empty space. It does not speak, but the message is clear enough to feel inside your chest. Someone has to stand where the unfinished story ends, and tonight it has chosen you. Level 10, the transfer. You run from the service hallway, but the parking lot no longer leads back to the street. Every exit turns you toward the same broken light where the figure first stood waiting for you. Maya calls your phone, but the voice on the line is not hers anymore. It says your name softly, then asks whether you are ready to stop being followed. You look across the parking lot and see the empty space in the photographs waiting beneath the light. The figure stands beside it, motionless, as if offering you the only way the file can close. Then another car pulls into the lot, and a tired stranger steps out carrying grocery bags. The figure turns away from you for the first time and looks toward the stranger. You understand the transfer before it happens, and the relief feels almost worse than fear. The figure is not gone. It is choosing who will see it next. You drive home before sunrise, but every mirror in the car looks darker than it should. 3 days later, Maya sends you a photo from outside the grocery store. The photo shows the tired stranger in the distance, staring at something no one else can see. If you knew it was leading you before level 7, comment #lag. Subscribe before the next file finds you. That night, you look through your apartment window and see nothing across the street except empty sidewalk. Then the glass fogs from the outside. The file was closed. The case was not